Hello and welcome to a very special segment of the Store TV from a very busy and hectic Mumbai, India. My name is Sunil Sethi. I'm the Executive Director for Sales and Customer Development in Cadbury. I've been with Cadbury for the last almost 4 years. I have previously worked in organizations like Colgate. Before that I was in Frito-Lay. I've done 5 years with Diageo. I've also done 7 years with an Indian company called Wipro Consumer Products. So pretty much FMCG and alcoholic beverages, sales, marketing and general management.
Great. Well, you've got a phenomenal amount of experience crossing lots of different sectors, but also crossing different markets. Most of those markets are what I suppose we would classically now call developing markets, although I seem to think that we need to find another terminology for it, because I don't think it quite does the justice.
Emerging markets.
Emerging. Well, some of them have, I think, have emerged, actually. Emerged and are consuming lots of the developed markets. India is a country full of complexities and contradictions, in a sense. We've got a phenomenal number of very small mama and papa shops here that are thriving businesses that give astronomical customer service and satisfaction. And we now have this new breed of modern retail trade that's trying to change the rules in the marketplace. And you're supplying products right across that spectrum. Yeah. Perhaps you can give us a little bit of an insight into, first of all, the traditional trade here and why it is that it's such a thriving industry.
7.8 million stores, traditional trade. If that number is something to talk about.
And Napoleon accused the Brits of being a nation of shopkeepers.
You're right. I think our Indian market is pretty similar to China in terms of the sheer number of outlets, the number of stores. We've got 7.8 million, and China also, if I'm not incorrect, is also pretty much around 8 million stores. So a population of 1 billion plus, so with 8 million stores, there is a bit of a task for us as manufacturers to reach our products to our shoppers. We, over a period of time, this traditional trade business model is working very well. And there are a couple of reasons for it. First, let's look at it from the point of the shopper or the consumer, as you and me are there. First thing it does is that it provides me tremendous convenience. I don't have to drive down anywhere, to go and shop, either for my top-up needs or for my monthly needs or for my weekly needs. There is an outlet almost 500 meters away from almost every residence,
And it's been said on another occasion, I don't know how true it is, that if you want to buy a chocolate at 3 o'clock in the morning, there'll be somebody who you can buy it from and deliver it to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, there would be certain outlets which would be open 24 hours, right? And some of the chemist outlets these days, they open 24 hours, right? But they would be stocking chocolates. So if you're really, really hard up for a chocolate, you can drive down to that chemist. But otherwise, during the day, pretty much from morning 7, 8 in the morning till about 9 in the evening, you have a store almost every 200 meters, 500 meters, and you can just go down and buy. So you don't really have to plan a trip, and it's the sheer convenience. That's one thing which is working very well for traditional trade from consumer point of view. Second, my emotional engagement, my emotional needs get satisfied. I mean, India lost a test match yesterday. And I can tell you last night, my wife was not very keen on discussing that because she doesn't like cricket. But when I went down to my vendor to pick up something, that retailer and me chatted about it for 15 minutes. Right? So that emotional need to probably give a bit of the stick to the team because they lost, both of us, had a hearty one and we were very happy. Now that you can't do in a modern trade retailer, right? Third piece, if I go down to buy something and let's say I've forgotten my wallet. Now because that retailer knows me, he tells me, hey, you can't be going back without taking the product. You can always get me the money tomorrow. There is a virtual credit, right? So from consumer perspective, my emotional needs, my need for convenience, a virtual credit, which at times comes in very handy, right? So this format will stay.
Which neatly brings us to brands. How important do you feel brands are to the Indian consumer?
I think in the importance of brand was, I'll give you a case. When there was this economic downturn happening, and just a couple of months ago, I think that's the time when my money was tight for me. I personally, as a consumer, when I would go to buy, I would buy brands because I trusted my brands, and I said, look, my money is really tight and I want the best value out of this money. And the best value out of this money comes from the brands because I've experienced the brand, I trust the brand, and I know that when I'm giving that money for that brand, I'm getting my value. Going forward, in the Indian market scenario for modern trade, my understanding is that brands will remain important forever, right? However, for the modern trade business, developing private labels will make business sense because if they've got to meet their costs, right, and they want better margins, it'll come from private labels. Because we manufacturers also have a margin objective, retailers have a margin objective, but then we have our limitations.
And to what extent will manufacturers in India be willing to produce own labels for these new, larger modern trade stores?
Difficult to say. Will depend on categories after categories. It is a double-edged sword, but you have to look at it, and it's purely my personal view. At the commodity end, if you find it difficult, at the low price end, if you find it really difficult to compete within your infrastructure, maybe a good idea, if modern trade really becomes big, to do a private label, right? And let that happen, and keep the costs minimum, and let that be built through in-store through the retailers. But on the mid segment and the premium segment, I don't think, in my view, manufacturers of big brands will get onto manufacturing brands which then the private label, because that's their expertise. We are all about innovating, building brands, and you would not give that away to somebody else to do, because you do that very well, right? And they are the ones who are good in the point of buying, and they own the point of buying, and they will sell it to the shoppers. So you will want to leverage your understanding better by keeping the brands to yourself and not getting into manufacturing private labels.
We're seeing more and more emphasis being placed on shopper marketing around the world. Has shopper marketing started to have impact within Indian retailing yet?
Very, very nascent in India. Yeah, and I can count a handful of companies, I can count a handful of individuals who understand shopper marketing as differentiated from trade marketing. We are a country where all the FMCGs have primarily grown doing trade marketing. How much trade loads, what discounts, lucky draws, all this stuff. But slowly there is this understanding coming, saying if point of buying is where 70% of purchase decisions are made, right, and especially for categories like us which are highly impulse, there is a need to understand this person called shopper. For example, in India, 3 years ago, we changed the whole sales vision, to winning with the shopper at point of buying. We put shopper at the heart of everything we do, and we not only thought about it, but we acted by creating a shopper marketing portfolio within sales. Those days are over when a salesman would put the product in the outlet and say, now it's for marketing to make it move.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've done it in my initial years, put a product and then somebody asked me why it's not moving. Like, look, I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Talk to the marketing guys, probably the advertising is not enough or not good enough. Right? But now we are saying the role of the sales force in Cadbury India is demand creation.
I think it's difficult to even walk out of the streets here in India without seeing the potential everywhere that you look, and given, as you say, the strength of the youth market here, and the amazing optimism that both you share and society here shares, it's difficult to see how the growth of India certainly will be sustainable for a number of years to come.
You know, optimism, I must quote you, I was doing one of the home visits and I came across a young 13-year-old child, you know, who gets 5 rupees pocket money a day, which is not much, right, which is about $3 a month, right, which by no means is a big money. 5 rupees, and when I was talking to this kid and trying to understand the purchase behavior, what all they spend on, he knew that his money is very limited. But even with that money and the way he spent it, I could see that optimism in their eyes, saying that someday he will make it big in that field that he thinks he will do well. They're not moaning that I am getting only 5 rupees, whereas a guy next door probably travels in a Mercedes of his father. The optimism saying that, look, I'm doing, I would like to have more, but I'm very happy and I'm very optimistic. I want to be a film star. And I can do it. Why? Because I know of examples where people have, come from very humble backgrounds, but made it big in their areas. And this was told to me by a 13-year-old kid. And that, I've never seen this kind of positive optimism. I've worked across countries, but in the younger generation, which is actually going to lead you tomorrow. And I think that gave me my immense confidence, saying, look, my country is a place to be.
Well, that's a wonderful place to stop. Thank you very much indeed for an amazing insight into the Indian market.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.